This is Made for More Living with Johnny Jennings, powered by eXp Realty. Online at madeformoreliving.com.
Matt, what is it that you like, your mental image, what do you think of when you think of a general contractor?
A general contractor. How would you define a general contractor?
Somebody that's like overseeing a project, like a remodel at your house or a flip.
A guy with a hard hat and a pencil and the blueprints standing out at the sidewalk looking over his masterpiece.
Well, you're certainly kinder than I am.
But also him getting frustrated at his crew because they're not moving fast enough, and him on his phone trying to call 12 other projects that he's also managing, driving from site to site. Did you ever see the movie Multiplicity with Michael Keaton? He was a general contractor, and it was like he'd show up to one project and it was all wrong, and they had mistakenly done the driveway of the neighbor instead of the house.
There you go, winning.
And he's being called by another homeowner because he's supposed to be on another project, and all the schedule is changing. So just a person that's overwhelmed and very stressed out.
When I think of it, I think of a beat up blue, a Ford F-250 with a rack with some 2x4s.
Exactly.
And rusted. He's got one tire up on the curb, and he's getting out and he's pulling this can of Copenhagen out of his pocket and putting some shoe in his mouth and yelling at some people. That's what I envision. But that's not what you guys are, right, Dom?
No.
So, Don, you're a general contractor.
That's correct, yeah.
How did you get into this? Was when you were in high school, you were taking the aptitude test and it said, hey, you need to become a general contractor?
Yeah, they said you're too smart for school. Go
build
houses. Go build houses.
I know this is radio, but it is also recorded visually. But for those of you who are listening to it, Dom's a handsome man. Like this guy, he's a movie star. He's been on HGTV.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, have you?
Yeah.
There you
We
go.
had 13 episodes. We had a full season. They followed me around doing all the flips.
Based on his looks, not based on his ability
that's all it
to
was.
put a home together.
That's funny. I learned from, I grew up in Texas. I was born and raised in Texas, and my parents are from San Francisco. So every summer we'd come up, and I started doing construction. I was 12 years old. So every summer I'd be up here for 3 months, and my grandfather was a really hardworking man. He said, absolutely, you're not up here for fun. You're going to come work.
Love
so I remember
that.
picking up nails and straightening out the old nails so that they could reuse them. Like back in the days, they were like real nails. So I had to straighten them out. And I learned. I mean, when I was 16, I was building 3-story houses on the mountainsides of San Francisco. Like I was up on the 3rd story. And
that's awesome.
It was fantastic. So
You've been doing this your whole life
just
since you were a kid.
Yeah. And we've had our ups and downs, but when I started the company back in 2004, this was a full-time job, and fortunately, you learn throughout the years of what not to do. And for the past 8 years, it's been going fantastic. That's why I have such a strong team behind me, because I couldn't do it all myself.
Yeah.
So now that's why we have 0 complaints from any clients for the past 2 decades. We just changed the dynamic of what a general contractor is.
So I'm curious, now that you own the company, right? Are you still out on the job sites? Are you still doing the day-to-day operations of a general contractor, or are you kind of doing more of the office work now?
It's a lot less. My legal department tells me to stop wasting time with that, but I actually enjoy meeting the homeowners. Like I want them to know that somebody is out there looking out for them. It's not just pointing fingers and you get a bunch of random people. All the people we use are basically our employees. They've been working together for the past 7 years. I go out. I mean, my truck, as nice as it is, I have a little over 360,000 miles on it.
Nice.
Wow.
And I like the face-to-face with the homeowners so that they can feel secure that they're in good hands.
So oftentimes people think, hey, I want to start a project, and then it ends up being bigger or takes longer than expected. Like what would be some advice to like a homeowner who was looking to maybe remodel their kitchen, or do like a background landscape, or remodel a bathroom? Because, I mean, kitchens are horrible. If you're living in the home, there's only one kitchen. Typically, there's maybe 2 bathrooms, so you can kind of alternate. But there's only one kitchen. How can they screen, or aside from just calling you directly, how can they screen a contractor to make sure that the prices aren't going to go up and that the work's going to get done in a timely fashion?
Honestly, it's just read through the contract properly, and then have a good feel with your contractor, right? You got to feel them out. It's like when you meet somebody, you got to feel them out. Do I feel comfortable? Is he well spoken? Does he understand what he's doing? Is he really insightful? And it all comes down to the contract, right? Read what he is proposing that it's going to cost, and just ask questions. Ask as many questions until you're 100% sure. And in more general, just know what you want, right?
Okay.
Don't be
wishy-washy.
Yeah, don't have us demo your kitchen and be like, oh, I think I changed my mind. I'd like to have a pantry over here, because then you slow everything down, right? And then when you start changing things, that's when change orders start. You're allowed to, of course, but don't get upset when it's like 2 days more of work.
Yeah. So if you want it done fast, have a plan, stick to the plan.
Correct.
And make sure you understand the contract.
It's the same thing with the ADUs, right? Once you picked up the architectural plans, we have all the finishes, what tile you're going to want, what floor you're going to want, and we just go at it. That's how we can get them done in less than 4 months. But if halfway through you're like, I think I decided, like you were saying, I think I want a window on this side, then we have to reframe that wall, right? That takes another day of work. So it just changes the whole dynamic. Exactly.
So what are some crazy stories you have? I'm sure you've been doing this, decades. What are some crazy stories you have about flipping houses? Like somebody thought, hey, I can go and handle this on my own, and then you ended up coming in and fixing everything.
Oh, goodness, yeah. I would get calls nationwide, especially after the TV show.
Yeah.
They would have some nightmare stories with contractors. They would never show up, or they would have the just really shoddy work, and they would call for advice, and I'd have to walk them through it.
So is that common? Why is there that stereotype then?
Oh, it is common. I would say, I might shoot myself in the foot here, but there's about 80% of the contractors out there are just not good.
Really?
Because what they do is you need to have a meticulous nature, right? And detailed nature. Like just with my truck, you could see it. It's like 13 years old, and everybody compliments me at least once a week because it's brand new. And that's what I teach my employees, right? How you do anything is how you do everything. So if your truck looks like that F-250 you're talking about, how are you going to trust them to build the house?
That's a good point.
Right? How do you handle yourself? How does your house look when you go home? Do you make your bed every morning? Right? That's a big tail sign you could ask your contractor.
Do you make your bed
every morning?
Yeah.
They say no. Then you already know that the meticulousness is not there. It's just sad. I mean, because honestly, we do make good money. So a lot of the contractors that are out there do that just so that they can go and they think I'm going to be rich. Let me go build houses.
Yeah.
But a lot of them don't have the business aspect. They don't know how to manage the funds. They don't know how to manage their employees. They don't know how to deviate the money. They usually use money from one project to pay off another one, and they're always chasing their tail.
Yep.
That's a big.
Very similar to real estate, honestly. Like real estate agents. Like there are so many agents out there that are, going deal to deal, or they're treating it more like a hobby, less like a profession. They don't have the business perspective of, hey, I'm an independent contractor. I need to treat my clients like a business professional.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Here would be my assumption is that a general contractor, at least when they're first starting out, they like to work with their hands. They're builders, right?
Correct.
But then when you get to a certain level where you're a supervising contract, you have to develop more of those people skills, managing certain staff. And that's a different skill set than just going out and working with your hands and being able to kind of be independent to some degree and, just getting the job done, being a builder.
That's very true. You have to have a sales technique as well. So you got to be good with people.
Yeah.
That's just naturally the truth.
And that's tough. That's quite a big step from coming from where you're picking up nails and you're doing the work and you're building. You're a builder to becoming a contractor, a general contractor, which in some sense is kind of a very different job.
Yeah, well, in my position now, I just have to make sure that all the projects are going well, that we're all under budget, that everything is flowing smoothly, that all the clients are happy. I mean, it was a growth phase.
Yeah.
I didn't think I'd be able to do it, but one thing led to another, and we started getting bigger and bigger, and then you hire good employees, and then at some point you have to let go. Right? You got to trust the people that you hire to do the job well.
Can you, since you said you're from the Bay Area, you've done a lot of work in the Bay Area, can you compare the two markets?
Like Sacramento and Bay?
Yeah. As far as, building, remodeling, the housing market.
I think just in general, the fact that the Bay Area prices are absolutely absurd and they're crazy high. It's the same thing, right? You make more money down there. The ADUs are still the same. You use the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Sticks and 2x4s and sheetrock, but it's just a different market. Just a different market.
Location. I am curious. Yeah. I've never met, a contractor that had a lawyer. What's so architect, that makes sense. Engineer, that makes sense. What's the benefit to somebody going with you when you have an attorney on retainer?
Just the security. They just know that the contracts are done well and that they're protected against any damages of any sort.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah. Super cool.
Yeah. They have any questions, I mean, they could always ask, like, well, what is this legally? And I'll tell you, like, this is how it works, and this is what a mechanics lien is, and this is how it happens, and this is what you try to avoid. Mm-hmm. I mean, I always try to teach my clients and give them as much knowledge as possible, because down the road they might need something else and we might not be available, right? So they might have to meet another contractor. Got
it. And so if is there any project, we've talked about big projects, like you're building commercial buildings, you're building ADUs, you're doing whole house remodels. For anybody listening, is there any project that's too small? Like you're like, hey, that isn't exactly something that we're doing right now.
Can you build my daughter a treehouse?
Or a dog house?
Oh, let me tell you something about a treehouse.
Let's say the treehouse.
I hear it.
I fortunately live next door to my best friend, the attorney. And he came to me.
Wait a second, your best friend is your attorney?
Is the attorney.
That's a good friend to have. That's a good friend to have.
Helping his friend with a job. Get a job.
And he trusted me so much, he allowed me to remodel his whole house. So you know that I do good work.
Absolutely.
So he came to me one day with a sketch, and he says, I want to build my daughter a treehouse, right? And I said, oh, okay, well, that sounds fun. Let's see what you have. So I looked at the tree in the backyard. It's a very, very large tree. He brought me this little drawing. I'm like, no, sir. I'm not building you a treehouse. I'm going to build you a house on a tree.
It's an ADU in a tree.
I built them a 300 square foot ADU in the tree, and the tree is going through
What?
It has a wraparound deck. It's incredible.
That is awesome.
It's incredible. It has a TV. We're installing a fireplace. It has lights. It's sheetrocked, insulated. Like it's a full on livable
She's got
space.
The coolest treehouse in Sacramento.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I'll put up some pictures on Instagram because people like walk up there and they're like, this is incredible. And the tree's physically going through the actual tree house.
That's sick. That's so cool.
It's just incredible.
Well, it was a pleasure having you on the show. If anybody wants to use RiseCon, you can always just Google RiseCon or reach out to us at 530-GET-MORE. Call or text 530-GET-MORE. We'll get you in contact with Dominique.
Yeah.
Dominique Montes. Any last comments before we part ways?
No, I really appreciate the time. This was fun. We could do it again.
Let's do it again. All right, see ya.
All right.
So Emily needed to sell her dad's home in Rockland in order to pay for his assisted living facility. Johnny Jennings and the Tom Daves team with Made for More Realty were able to sell the home in less than 30 days, enabling Emily to have the needed funds in the desired timeline. They were also able to make the transition a smooth one for her dad. That's what happens when you work with the best. They sell homes 27% faster than other homes on the market. Expect more, get more with Johnny Jennings and the Tom Daves team with Made for More Realty, brokered by EXP. All you do is Google Made for More Realty today and get more for your home. License number 581837.